1980s. Can you guys think back that far? No, you can't because you were born then. Way back in 1980s, I was attending the University of California, Irvine, and I had 3 roommates. I had actually 5 roommates, but I had 2 other girls share my room, and 2 girls shared the other room. And we had a smaller room. I still don't understand that to this day. We all paid even rent, and we had 3 people in our room and 2 people in the master bedroom. But we had the smaller room, even though we had 3 people. But in college days, if you guys can go back to your college years, that's kind of fun, you know? You don't need a lot of space and just being together. And my one roommate was Korean and the other one was Chinese. And they were driving me nuts because I was the only one that had to work. They just had to go to school. So I would wake up very early in the morning to go to work before I went to school. But they would sing the guitar, do their nails, and play all night long. And I would have to sleep in the middle of it. Well, anyhow, it was good. It was fun times. It was fun times. So we all graduated somewhere in the mid of 80s. And then at one point in 93, 94, I moved up to Seattle. And so they come and visit me. And they come and visit me, and it's new to them. They've never been there before. So we have a wonderful time. I mean, if you're adventurous and like to be outdoors, even though it rains 9 months out of the year in Seattle, Seattle's a wonderful place to live because there's so many things to do. They have beautiful mountains to go hiking or mountain climbing, and they have beautiful, beautiful oceans. It's just right there. Like mountains are here and oceans are here. It's just like right there. And the oceans are full. They are full of stuff to catch. Not just fish, but I love going clam digging. I used to go clam digging. I loved it so much, I used to go by myself. I would sit in the church office, and you know, the thing about clam digging, it's not just let's go down the street and do it. It's you gotta take shovels, and you gotta take big buckets, like paint buckets, and you know, you gotta carry that heavy stuff because it's not, you don't park and go, you gotta walk out, and then the water has to go way out so that you can dig. But I loved it so much, I'd be sitting in my church office, and then all of a sudden I decided, I'm gonna go clam digging. So I just leave. I don't even tell anyone I'm leaving, I just leave. And like, you gotta drive an hour and then take the ferry over to an island, and I would just go by myself, I wouldn't care. I have an all-year clamming ticket license. So I just go, I dig it up, then I go to catch crabs, and while I'm trying to catch crabs, I clean all my clams out. Because you could catch those Dungeness crabs, this big. So I throw the net out, and if they come, they come. If they don't, they don't. Even if they come, I don't take them home because I'm scared of them. But I just throw the net out, and then I spend the time using the ocean water to clean out my clams and stuff like that. You know, if I get caught, I'd probably get a ticket because I always catch more than I'm supposed to. I always catch way more than the limit. Anyhow, I loved it so much. So when my friends came, I had so many things for them to do. And the first thing they gave me was marvelous. It was spectacular. We had so much fun. I rented this rusty little cabin right next to the beach that had a fireplace, and we could roast marshmallows and do all this stuff. So they had so much fun. The next year they came again. And this time they came, I couldn't plan everything out exactly. Plus there were some other things that they wanted to add to the plan. Well, me and my Korean friend, we're like, whatever, roll as we go, who cares? If we're 5 minutes late, if we're 3 hours late, if we're 5 hours late, we don't care. Let's just go and have fun. But my Chinese friend, she's very, very particular. She likes keeping schedules. She likes keeping budgets. Me, I budget $50. If I spend $250, oh well, you know, I'm free, I'm single. You know, I just eat less later on in the month, you know? But my Chinese friend, if you say $50, that's what it's gonna cost, that's all she's gonna pay. Me and my other friend has to come up with an extra 100 for her other $200 that she would need to spend, you know? She's very, very particular. In some ways, she's very organized. In some ways, she's very detail-oriented. She doesn't like to do things on the spur of the moment. So they wanted to go up to Canada. So we made a trip because I needed to go see someone in Canada. Anyhow, it took 3 more hours than what we planned. She was pissed. She was not happy. So it was so hard to view macho. It was so hard to do, to kiss up to her. It was so hard to do what she wanted to do. Because me, I don't care, my Korean friend, she don't care either. It's like, oh, are we late? You know, we don't. But her, it's like, why did we leave? We were supposed to leave 3 hours ago. And I'm just coming out of the bathroom because I just woke up, you know? And she, you know, she's just very particular like that. Well, after a few days of trying to be much of her, trying to do what, you know, trying to fit her, I finally told my other friend, you know what, that girl needs God. Because she wasn't a believer. And I told my friend Grace, somebody needs to pray for her to go to church and know Jesus. And I was so fed up with her because I felt responsible because they came to visit me. And because I couldn't keep a schedule and I couldn't, you know, and I felt like it was my fault and she was mad at me. I mean, at one point she was mad at me. She didn't talk to me for a couple days or something. Not a couple days, but at least a day. That's how she does it. So anyhow, at one point I was so angry, I put Grace in my room. I said, Grace, someone needs to give her Jesus. She needs God. She needs to learn how to be flexible. I mean, this is supposed to be a vacation, not a military trip, okay? And someone needs to tell her about God. And Grace is like, well, why don't you do it? You know? And so at that point, I started praying for her. And I started really seeking God for her. You know, all these years, I mean, this is a few years after college. I mean, we were only in college like because I transferred in the middle of my college. So we were only together for about 2 years. But I've known her throughout. I mean, we kept in contact, we hang out, we go eat, we watch movies together, we hang out. But all these years, I think it was a good like 5, 6, 7 years, I never once witnessed to her. I never once told her. She knew that we were Christians. She knew that we went to church. But she just grew up in a non-Christian family. And I never once told her. And so I started praying for her, and I started being challenged because Grace was like, well, why don't you pray for her, you know? And so I said, yeah, why don't I? Why do I think someone else has to do it? And I started really having compassion for her because she's a cool person. She's a really cool person. I mean, she's Chinese American, and she speaks Chinese fluently, and she's a great cook. And she plays piano beautifully. She's a really cool person. She just was bugging the crap out of me. She was being some military lieutenant or something, you know, and I was wanting to get mad. So anyhow, I started praying for her. And then my friend Grace, she was very involved in evangelism explosion in her church. She was one of the leaders of evangelism explosion. And evangelism explosion is they get together once a week, and then they talk about they give you an exact outline of how to go out and evangelize, and you memorize it, and you try it on each other, and you put your own stories into it, and then you go out. You go out with your team. You go to nearby campuses, stores, whatever, and you pick someone, you pray, and then you ask God to lead you to someone, and they use that whole it's a whole thing. It takes about 20 minutes to 30 minutes. Me, it takes an hour and 30 minutes because I talk a lot to go through and tell them about salvation. And so she was a leader of that. And so maybe a year after that trip, she actually went to my friend Joe with her team, and she evangelized him. To make a long story short, Joe got so caught on fire for God that a few years after that, she was so much above me and Grace. At this point, me and Grace was just kind of going to church and stuff like that. And this is when I went back to Arizona, and I didn't work in the church for a while. I just went to work in the office. But Joe was like taking Bible classes. She was going on like Bible retreats with her church. She went to church with not Francis Chan, with, what was that, a tennis player, the Chinese tennis player, Michael Chan? I think so. She went to the same church that Michael Chan went to. Okay, you guys don't know who he is, forget. Anyhow, he was one of the top elite, not Jackie Chan, one of the top elite tennis players. So anyhow, she was so into church and so on fire for church. And she was so much ahead of us in her walk than we were at the time. And I looked at that and I'm like, wow, God probably put us together in college for us to witness to her, but we didn't do it. We were just dragging our heels. We weren't even thinking about doing it until she pissed me off. And then I decided she needs Jesus. And at that point, the wheels started turning. And this was like 5-6 years later. And she finally got witnessed to. And then now she was like, I don't know what she's doing right now because now it's been another like 10 years. But she was like on fire for the Lord, learning all kinds of stuff and really seeking God out. And she was actually something that needed to be harvested. But my roommate and myself really didn't even think about doing it until, you know, she pissed me off. So God made her piss me off so that I would finally start praying for her. And as I share this story with you, it makes me come to think, how many people do we know every day that come in and out of our lives that we never tell them, how was your day? Do you know Jesus? Do you know that there's someone out there that truly loves you and cares for you? You know the stuff that you're struggling with? There's someone who can actually help you with it, that can really teach, that can really take your situation and turn it around. Let me tell you about that someone. How many people go in and out of our lives every day that they have no idea that we know the truth? They have no idea that we have a strong belief in the true God. How many people are there? There's tons. But if you stop right now and you think, maybe, just maybe, you're supposed to harvest them. Maybe, just maybe, you're supposed to bring it in. What do the harvesters do? The harvesters, they don't necessarily even plant the seed. The farmers plant the seed, but the harvesters, the picking people, if you go to California and you go to the farmland, you know what the harvester is, because when it's harvest season, they come from all around the world to get a job. And what their job is to just pick the fruit and bring it in. They don't do anything else. They don't clean it out. They don't make sure it's the best ones. There's other people that do that. There's a whole new crew of people that are ready at the conveyor belts that pick out the bad ones and put in the good ones and then clean it out and make sure the good produce is going to the stores. There's a whole big group of people that do that, but the actual harvesters, the ones that's out on the field, that's all they do is they pick the fruit. They pick the fruit, they pick as many as they can in the time that they're allowed to do.